gifted speaker.
Actually, one more comes to mind.
I'm on top and you down below. The deep freeze got me out and cold. I keep breathing, here for good like superheroes, but I still fall victim to all of these demons. Let me see your ass 1-2 step, talking all that shit, but you ain't come through yet.
Let me see your ass 1-2 step, 1-2 step, 1-2 step.
All my life I wanna date a baddie, call her Bronny James. She wanna play with daddy. Hold up, pause. Cause the day I give a fuck's the day M has withdrawals. Relapse, give me that, you can't have it all. Guilty conscience trying to get that absolved. Got no...
Welcome to Just Saying. Sky has his head down. Doesn't want to be part of this show. It looks like that, or he's frozen. I think he might be frozen. We will have to clip this. We will definitely need to clip this. Oh, there you go.
Yo, welcome back.
Welcome back. You were frozen for me.
You're frozen for me. I've been good. I've been watching YouTube videos. I think
You
it's
know how
on
it goes,
you.
Sam. You know what? You know how it'll go? Basically, for the rest of time now, it's one of those situations of, now you hung up, right?
Yeah.
Well, we both know I was right. Point being is, today, ladies and gentlemen, we are talking about Dragon Ball. What's new? But of course, before we get into that, my name is... Ooh, I just smacked the mic. My name is Kizer. That is my co-host, Sky. We got a heavy topic, in a way. This is a simple one, but also a kind of difficult. Did you find it difficult, Sky? To kind
not
of...
at all.
Not at all.
Bro. Easy,
No parts of this were difficult for you.
No.
Okay.
No part. No
Okay.
part. I know what
Now-
the best Dragon Ball is and the worst Dragon Ball.
Okay. I think you'll be surprised by what my last is, and I think I'm going to be surprised by what you had originally as a tie. I'm curious to know what that is. We've been playing mind games. He's like, I know what you know, what I would do, but then, do you really know? And I'm like, I don't know, man. Let's find out. So that's why we're here.
Dude, I'll be honest with you, bro. I remember you were like, yo, look, we're finally doing this topic since Daima was done.
Yeah.
And bro, I literally finished the list like after you said that. Basically.
Really? That soon?
Yeah, I was like, oh yeah, okay, boom, 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 we're good.
I organized it in a way where it was like, on iPhone how there's the reminders.
Mm-hmm.
So I had it as like, I put in Dragon Ball Z, I put all of them, and then you can like shift the reminders around for like. Yeah. So for like a week, I was just like, actually, you know what? Actually, you know what I mean? And then This week, I was like, okay, let me put in some context here. But it took me a little longer, it seems like.
I wonder. I think me and you are gonna have the same last one though. That's all I'm gonna say. I think me and you will have the same.
Okay, so of course, as the viewer can see on screen right now, we have 5 slots underneath each of us. That is to represent the 5 series that we will be ranking today. Now, of course, there are things that you can say, oh, what about heroes? We're not talking about heroes.
Yeah, no, I don't think people expected that, to be honest. Anyway,
I think everyone is here being like, where's heroes?
Where's heroes? Where's our Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta?
Heroes?
No, bro, we're good.
They're also like, where are the new PlayStation Vita games? You know what I mean? They're the same kind of people. You know what I mean? Anyways,
shout out to PlayStation. Actually, no, fuck that. Xbox getting we're getting our handholds. We're getting our handhelds. I mean, end of this year. So
it's end of this year. Is that the official?
For 2025, yeah, handhelds, and then 2027 we're getting the new Xbox thing that's gonna actually have PlayStation exclusives on Xbox. So I don't know why people are still on PlayStation. I don't think I'm ever going back the way Xbox is moving.
Yeah, I'm excited to see like which of those exclusives are coming. I know that broke today. I also saw that Monopoly Go, or the studio that owns Monopoly Go, just purchased Pokemon Go.
That's
And
interesting.
yeah, the studio that develops it, and it's like includes Pikmin, and it includes Monster Hunter, not Wilds, Monster Hunter Go as well. So like those are two big IPs. They just spent like, I forgot how much it was. I think it was 3.5 billion. Like it's a lot of money, but Pokemon Go is a big IP, and Monster Hunter Go has also like had some success. So those are big studios or big project IPs to own now. But anyways, we are not here to talk about that. Of course, we are here to talk about Dragon Ball Sky. As we discussed, we will be going in order, not from release, but instead in linear story order. So we'll start off with Dragon Ball, go Z, Daima, Super, GT. I want you to kick us off, Sky. Where is Dragon Ball going for you?
The original Dragon Ball is going number 1.
Okay.
It is going number 1. This wasn't hard.
Very interesting.
This wasn't hard, bro. This wasn't hard. My goat is in OG Dragon Ball. My favorite version of Goku. This wasn't hard,
Isn't
bro.
GT our favorite version of Goku?
No. But I mean, I'm not even trying to dislike Z Goku. I really like Z Goku, but
Yeah, of course.
Z Goku probably until the Cell arc is like my favorite. Like up to that's a whole big stretch of Goku. We'll talk about Goku later on in other series because there's many other series that I have more issues with him in. Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z isn't. I have no issues basically with Goku. So
Okay. I have a feeling I know based on what you're saying and based on in general just seeing where you're putting Dragon Ball, where I think you're gonna put Z. But that goes off of the discussion we had earlier on.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm a follow up right now. I'm gonna say Dragon Ball for me, Sky. Not far behind, but I actually have it at number 2.
Okay. It has to be one of the first 2, or else we're throwing hands. To be honest.
Yeah, bro, I'm taking an Uber right now. Man, yeah. I mean, to echo what you said, it's the OG. It's where it all started. For a lot of folks, myself included, that's where it started. Like literally, like a lot of people got into Dragon Ball Z, especially in North America. Dragon Ball Z was their entry point.
Mm-hmm.
And for myself, I grew up watching Dragon Ball. It was a perfect transition into Dragon Ball Z, and now here I am at 30 years old, bald head, and talking about Dragon Ball on YouTube. It all started with that, and so, I mean, from the storytelling to the character progression to the cast of friends that we get to add to the Z Fighters throughout the way. It was just such an entertaining journey and adventure, and I think those are kind of like 2 of the words I think of.
I just also think that as much as I love, and they're definitely better because they have obviously more iconic lines and moments, referring to, for example, Frieza, Cell, and Boo. They do have themes from all 3 of those that are very similar to each other. All 3 of them have a lot more in common than they don't, in my opinion, except for maybe Frieza, but Cell and Boo have a lot in common. So with OG Dragon Ball, I felt like every villain or antagonist for the arc was significantly different. Like, for example, you had like Pilaf, was just like a weird ass dude. Like, he just, he wasn't really much of a threat by himself, but with his support, he was a threat at that point in time, right? Like, the thing is, Goku was never really worried about Pilaf. That was kind of the funny part about it. but everyone else was, so it was kind of
Right.
made for like cool moments still. But and then you have like Commander Red, ordering mercenary Tau to assassinate Goku, like all this stuff, right? So that's
King
a different one.
Piccolo.
Then you got King Piccolo, like then you have Piccolo
All the martial
Jr..
arts tournaments.
Yeah, then you have
Oh.
Tien, right? Like Tien comes in, big bad, talking all this major shit. And people forget that Chiaotzu was a major shit talker back then. Dude was just like, I'm gonna beat your ass. Okay, bro, you're cool, dude. Like you look fucking stupid. Like what are you saying? Okay, so anyways, but yeah, like everyone in every arc to me felt very different, and it was really fun in that. I guess you could say like King Piccolo and Piccolo Jr., but at least it led to Piccolo Jr., right? So like it wasn't just something just we knew Piccolo Jr. was gonna come at some point, right? Because
Yeah.
King Piccolo. So, but yeah,
And there's that excitement, right? Like of it being the first series, and if you're watching it for the first time, peeling back the layers of the onion that is the Dragon Ball world, right? The character of it, right? The world building that's been put in. Yeah, I mean, General Tao is like, you talk about him, King Piccolo, and then Goku going to the Red Ribbon Army base, the tower. Like, those are three iconic moments alone, and then you just, like we said, you talk all the martial arts tournaments, like each one had multiple iconic fights. So definitely no arguing against it being at number one, but for me it is at number two. Sky, where is Dragon Ball Z for you?
my list just got boring, right? It's at 2.
Okay.
Yeah. Z is 2 for me. If Daima was what am I saying, bro? It's Z is always gonna be 2.
What the heck was he about to say? What? Okay, hold on. If Dragon Ball Daima was what? If Dragon Ball Daima what?
I don't know, man. If Dragon Ball Daima was just as good as Z, bro, then I would have put it above Z because of the animation and the recency bias, but it wasn't. Okay, so
When you think of Z, are you including Kai as well?
no. If I include Kai will be last. Sorry, there are so many voice actors and actresses that shouldn't have a job that were in Kai. I'm sorry. Yeah,
That's the reason I haven't gone back to watch Kai. I can appreciate that you're cutting out a lot of the middle, but
I'll be honest, bro.
We enjoy the middle, you know?
I'll be honest, bro. There's a lot of paycheck stealers in Kai, bro. Paycheck stealers.
Yo, Sky's coming to collect.
Sorry, bro.
He's coming to collect.
Put me in. I'll be Oolong's voice actor.
Now, of course, I'm gonna follow suit. Of course, this is the boring part of it. I think we both saw this coming.
Yeah, come on. This wasn't hard.
So, yeah, Dragon Ball Z. We talked about all the ways that Dragon Ball was phenomenal as a series.
Mm-hmm.
Dragon Ball Z took Dragon Ball and became its older brother. It introduced even more adult tones. Our main characters, our casts, were literally adults now, facing those kinds of challenges, even getting married, having children, yes. But even the kind of, I think of Android Saga, and you have this investigation, sleuthing, all these kinds of like more mature style types of conversations and stuff. I felt like it was such a, I actually have it written down here. Dragon Ball is Lego Batman, DBZ is the Dark Knight. And I don't know if it's necessarily that stark, but it, I think, is a big reason to why they probably started with that in North America versus like pushing Dragon Ball off the bat when it started, right? It's just less risky, especially when you talk about the way that, of course, Funimation took their own creative liberties at times to really make Goku seem stoic and heroic, right? So, I mean, yeah, dude, unbelievable, iconic moments. Even the filler slapped. It was just hard.
Yeah, Z filler is actually
say
really
much.
good. Really, really
Yeah.
good. You can't say that about a lot of long running animes. I think the only animes
Yeah.
I've ever seen that has good filler, like really good filler, is Dragon Ball and One Piece, dude. The rest, I can't do it. I just gotta skip it. Get the shit out of here.
Yeah,
But
what
like,
about Naruto as well? Yeah.
oh, I can't do no, fuck no, I can't do it. I couldn't do it for Naruto. I
No.
understand there is one that's okay, but then there's other ones that just oh no, please get me out of here. Bleach is probably the worst though, for filler. But once you get to the main points, it's great. So you just skip it, it's good. But imagine if you're like going week to week with all these shows, and you're
Oh
going
my
through this
gosh.
filler, and you're like, oh my gosh, because Bleach has an arc that's like 84 episode filler. It's a whole arc
Now.
of filler. So
My goodness, Sky, you're talking about filler. We're talking about what can we tolerate as filler. Unironically, we transition into the third show, something that we've actually had complaints about in regards to filler, and that is Dragon Ball Daima, right? So we're coming hot and fresh off of Dragon Ball Daima.
can I say something
very
before we get to
curious.
Daima? Because I need to
Of
know this.
course.
Okay, for example, for Dragon Ball Super, we're only talking about what we've seen from the anime, correct?
Yeah, we have to.
Yeah. Okay, that's what I thought. Okay, cool. No, I was just curious. I have two lists, so. Okay, cool. All right, so for Daima,
Yeah, where's Daima?
Daima is 4th on my list.
Daima is 4th on Sky's list. Sky, tell us a little bit about why Daima isn't at the bottom without getting into who's there and why it's not in 3rd.
I think Daima brought back. So as you can see, Dragon Ball is on the top of my list, and Dragon Ball Daima gave off some of those vibes. Obviously not as polished as how Dragon Ball did it in terms of the actual adventure side of things. I mean, yeah, we're in the demon realm. It was pretty cool, but it kind of stopped in about episode 5. I mean, you do get a bit of like adventure post Tamagami 3 fight with Goku as well. You get like those little periods of time, but the actual adventure itself wasn't as it was enjoyable, but it wasn't as enjoyable as it was in Dragon Ball. So even though it gave me those vibes, it still wasn't enough for it to topple the 3rd place thing for me, but it was good enough because it had a lot of moments that were like, whoa, I did not expect Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta. Oh my god, I did not expect this animation to kick in with Tamagami 3 and Goku. All this stuff. And then we get Super Saiyan 4 that becomes canonized. And then, as much as I love the transformation at the end, I feel like a little bit got bottled at episode 20, where we get no explanation for Super Saiyan 4. It just felt like to me, it felt like we could have gone for 24 episodes and it wouldn't have felt dragged on. Personally, I think we could have gotten another episode of like, I think Noun has, shout out to Noun, I think Noun said this first on the Discord, like a full-on episode talking more about Goma as a character before all of this happened. Like, learn more about Goma. He's just there, right? I would have liked to see post Daima, when they get back. I want to see the Namekians talk to each other. Oh wow, like we still have our ancestor there, like Neva, and they'll be, oh my gosh, Neva, because if Piccolo knows Neva, I'm sure many of the people who are older than Piccolo definitely know Neva. So one thing is too is that's basically confirmed that the people in New Namek would know Neva because Piccolo absorbed with Nail, and Nail was with them. So with Nail, if Nail knows who Neva is, then he would obviously, then everyone else there in the New Namek would know who Neva is as well. So that would have been a good interaction as well. Like, I feel like we could have tied more things together in the story to make it the ending
100%.
so much more satisfying. But Daima was still great to me. I mean, I still gave it an 8.5. It could have been a 9. Honestly, it definitely, it probably wouldn't have gotten past a 9.5 just because there were like those 3 episode breaks that were just really, really slow. When it didn't need to be slow because we were just getting onto the Tamagami 1 fight that we thought we were gonna get, but we didn't end up getting it because we got Majin Buu versus Tamagami 1. And then we also got the stealing Dragon Ball scene for like half of the episode. Like that was a major thing too. But other than that, Daima was still a great experience. I would, if someone were gonna ask me like, oh, there's gonna be another like story kind of like this where it's canon and it's more adventure based, but maybe somewhere else, I would still go for it as long as they execute it well with good animation. So
yeah, I'd agree with everything. I'd agree with a lot of what you're saying. I'd say the far majority of it. I mean, to be honest, as I go into it, I might as well slot mine too. I mean, obviously, hard to go too far off of what you have. I do have Daima actually at number 5. So not to suggest that it was a bad show. Realistically, Dragon Ball has kind of been a masterpiece when you really consider all the great moments it's brought us through. When we talk about moments, Sky, one thing we talked about at the end of our review of Daima, go ahead and check that out if you haven't already, is, was the show iconic? Did it achieve that status? Something doesn't have to be perfect to achieve that. And I think we kind of came out of it feeling like there were iconic moments, but the show itself didn't feel iconic. And maybe that's because it borrowed a lot of its iconic moments, right? I mean, when you talk about Super Saiyan 4, it looked incredible and the animations looked great in Daima. But Super Saiyan 4 is a borrowed concept. And yes, the design is slightly different, but it's largely the same. And that's okay. We liked the way Super Saiyan 4 looked. It's just, at the end of the day, I can't give them full credit for that. And when you look at Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta, I almost get more excited about that, because it was this thing of like, well, why hasn't he? Can he? Whatever. They give us something
why
like
does
that.
he go to God? We haven't even seen him in Super Saiyan 3.
Right. They love leaving these little question marks. It's very annoying. But I think for me, like, you talk about the ending, we talk about sometimes the last kind of 5 episodes and how there was so much filler in points of that felt mind-numbing. And for me, honestly, like, yes, there were moments, of course, that were incredible, but within that last episode stretch, there were a lot of moments that felt like, wow, we could be using this time better. And I love what you and Noun are saying with how, like, they should really be, they had opportunities to build on Goma. Like, who is Goma? Who is he?
He honestly, he just looks like a miniature, like, jester looking dude. Like, show me, like, where is he from? Like, yes, he's from the demon realm, but like, where was he? Do we remember like what demon world he originates in? Do we even know that? I don't remember them even mentioning that. Because the thing is, just, like, here's the thing that's interesting with the demon realm. It's like, okay, yes, you're from the demon realm, but you still have your own race in the demon. You're not just a demon. Like, for example, the Namekians originate from the demon realm, but they're Namekians. What is Goma? Goma has a very interesting design. It'd be cool to know where he's from. Glins is a race of people, or of Glins, right? And so they originate from the demon realm still. What is Goma? Where is he from? Where's he originally? Get a little bit more of how did he get to the place that he was? How was he just appointed Demon King after Deborah was gone? Is he related to Deborah in any sort of ways? So he's like some sort of successor? Is he a cousin of Deborah? Because how does that happen? How does that just how does he just get slotted in like that? It would have been more interesting to know. So
yeah, there are a lot of creative decisions I think we all could probably point at and be like, did we need to spend so much time on this? Why didn't we spend enough time on that? I mean, to close off on it, to your point, honestly, usually I think we're used to, at the end of Dragon Ball, at the end of a saga, to have a bit of a debrief episode. Like, it usually doesn't actually, everything doesn't end in the last 5 minutes of the last episode. Usually they go back to Earth, or they have some time to debrief, and maybe you get some filler content.
They have a nice party, like cookout,
right.
You know?
Things are mentioned in passing, and you're like, oh shit, speculation station. Right. And so, like, usually that's it, but there was no time to breathe. And I think, just to give that final point, I felt like the pacing is what really felt poor in Daima. And the last positive I'll give to it is all the lore that they introduced. I thought was incredible. And yeah, of course, one thing that we both appreciate is the fact that it's off of Toriyama's pen, and everything just feels authentic from there. But Sky, that's what we thought about Daima. I'm curious to know now, what is I mean, basically, what is your 3 and 5? Do you want to say, I guess, just tell us where Super is, I guess, and then I'll slot the other one in to where the empty spot is. But, oh man, where are you going to go with this?
All right, so I've got Dragon Ball Super at 5. And then I've got GT
Okay.
at 3.
Okay. So, wow. So, the Uncanon Project. I'm not saying it as a slate. I'm just saying very interesting how the Uncanon Project is dead in the middle there. So, let's start off with that. Like, where do you give GT its flowers?
I think the whole baby arc, to me. The baby arc is more well written to me, than any super arc until we get to the Moro arc. And that is saying something with. Yeah, I don't think the Tournament of Power is well written whatsoever. I don't think the Goku Block arc, especially in the anime, is written well whatsoever. The Universe 6 arc is basically filler. I don't know why that's even an arc. Slime Vegeta, do we need to talk about that? What else? Poor animation. Gohan being fucking useless until the Tournament of Power, and even then he might as well have stayed useless. Tien is a useless character, doesn't get utilized at all. No cool new concepts other than the Goku Black arc, but even then, when it was supposed to get dark at the best times, it just ended in a fucking horrible fashion with Zamasu is now merged into the sky. We now need Zeno to erase everything. So even that arc that I thought was going to be really good had a bad ending to begin with. Now, the reason why I asked earlier if the manga was included, then these would be instantly swapped. And you're probably thinking, but it's just 2 arcs. How would you change it? Well, the baby arc completely carries it for GT for me, but the Shadow Dragons, even though the arc as a whole was not that great, the concept of Shadow Dragons was brilliant. It actually makes
100%.
total sense because
I had no issues with that in general.
You're abusing the Dragon Balls, okay, way too often. These things are supposed to be used. I forgot what it was, like once a year or like whatever. But they were abused. Right. The whole point was that it was being abused, and then it like darkened and became all these.
Yeah.
Not became, the dragons were already sealed inside of the Dragon Balls.
Like those selfish wishes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then they came out. And then you got interesting characters. The reason why I don't think it was executed completely well is because there's only 3 of the Shadow Dragons that you actually get to see a personality with. It's Nova, it's the Ice one, and then it's Sin Shenron. Those are the only 3 out of the 7, and that's not even half of the Shadow Dragons, which I feel like was lazy writing at that point. If you gave me 5 out of the 7 that, had a bit more character to them, I'd be like, okay, you know what? That's fine. But other than that, baby arc, it beats everything Super arc has the Super has done until the Moro arc. But the Moro arc washes everything, literally everything that GT does. So that's why, again, if we're including the manga, I got Super at 3. If we're not including the manga, I got GT at 3 because I think most arcs, possibly all arcs from Super, are underwhelming.
So then what you're saying is that if you're including the manga, that Daima gets slotted to 5th.
Sorry?
Right? So what you're saying is that if Super were to include, if you were including the manga storyline instead, that would be in 3rd.
Yeah.
But that would obviously mean that GT is just getting bumped back 1, pushing Daima to last. Right? That's what that would be.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. Okay. Okay, so interesting. Okay, let me slot mine in.
We know where it's going, though. We know where this is going. Super
Okay.
3rd.
So my 3rd, Sky, say it. What is my 3rd?
It is Dragon Ball Super. No, it's not. Stop the cap. I know it's 3rd, bros. Don't give me this shit. The amount of glaze you gave to Tournament of Power, bro. We're not doing this. There you go.
Okay.
Dude, you must hate Daima.
I don't hate Daima. The issue, it's not even an issue. The circumstance is that we've had 5 series that I've enjoyed watching, right? Some more than others. Daima, there's just a lot I loved, a lot I wish we could get back and tweak. And I think that feeling, I don't like for me. Okay, so starting with Super.
Okay.
I mean, look, if you want to talk about moments, big, impactful moments, Tournament of Power is, regardless if you're talking about the manga or the anime, it was incredible. The spectacle that they had created got everyone intrigued at the edge of their seats week by week, couldn't wait for the next one. I felt like the moment the tournament starts, but really the first time we start to get a little taste of Ultra Instinct and what Vegeta's got cooking in Evo, every episode's like, I want to see what these guys can do. Can they push these characters like Jiren and even Toppo at points that feel like impossible to pass? Did they handle everything perfectly? No, I mean, you've told me about elements of the manga where Roshi has maybe a bigger role, where Gohan has a bigger role. I mean, of course, as the Gohan Glazer, I would have loved to see those things happen, right? But to me, there's no doubting like the moments that it had. And for me, you look at some of these series that some of these sagas that people didn't really like too much, right? You go to Goku Black. I largely enjoyed Goku Black. To be honest, I'd go as far as to say I really enjoyed it. To your
Goku
point,
a good villain.
I liked all of it. What I will say is the ending. The ending was not done right. I don't think that we needed to even have two of them. I think it could have been that you had Zamasu who just wished for Goku's body, and it was just the one Zamasu in Goku's body. I don't think we needed two of them. I don't think you even needed immortality.
Yeah.
Right? I think having some reason for why maybe he was a lot more powerful would have been interesting. And I'll to close off that point, I think to make that more impactful and to make the God form more impactful, I would have liked to seen Resurrection F come after Goku Black, and that be where we get the blue reveal. And let's just have Goku and Vegeta fighting at Red, fighting at Goku, fighting at God, because we barely have it. We get a taste test, and all of a sudden it's like a flick of a switch, and we got blue. It didn't feel like we earned it. It didn't feel like it was anything special. So I would have way rather have them handle a lot about that specific period of time better. But I mean, I love the dark tones. I like where we went and some of the conversations.
I just think also like the Goku Black concept becomes infinitely better if it was Gohan Black. It would have made so much more sense if it was Gohan Black.
Yes, 100%. Because we've seen these guys get duped already. We don't need those guys to get duped.
Yeah, and like it's also Future Trunks' timeline. How crazy would it be if he snatched Gohan? The person that he saw dead on the ground, like his trainer, right? His role model, his best friend, be the person who basically turned. People forget that the ending of the Goku Black arc is pretty dark. There's no going back. That's all he has.
Yeah.
It's him, those people underground there that were in the shelter, other major characters that we know, like Yajirobe, right?
Yep.
And that's basically it for the major characters. Trunks,
They built
Yajirobe,
circumstance.
and
yeah, it felt like edgy honestly for the first time in Dragon Ball Super. That's the first time it feels like there's like repercussions that could happen here. But then, like to your point, it ends and it's like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll just go to another timeline. That's cool. Everyone's there.
Yeah.
But why were we fighting for? Yes, and the whole Zamasu in the sky and Zeno having to come to do that. They botched the ending, but I thought that was a fun part. I thought the Tournament of Power was incredible. You run the manga version of that. You swap up the timeline a little bit, but I thought Super was incredible. For me, GT, I just talked about a little bit with Daima how, Super Saiyan 4, interesting concept. They executed it really well in their own way, but at the end of the day, I borrowed a concept of that. And when you get Super Saiyan 4, the design, the execution, you get the story with Baby and how that ends, and then you get where he gets to go from there against Super 17, and then you go into the Shadow Dragons, which I loved every aspect of the Shadow Dragons. And the way it even ends with a Spirit Bomb finally, well, not finally, but doing it, and Kid Goku, and man, honestly, it doesn't get enough love. GT does not get enough love for the moments that they created as well.
The thing I liked about GT as well is the grittiness of the art. Like, it was very gritty, like edgy as fuck, dude. Like, and like when GT was coming out, like, I don't know, dude. There's just something that hits different about all the characters. Now, again, another issue I have with GT, even though it is third. See, here's the problem. It's like Vegeta's my favorite character. Growing up watching GT, Gohan was my favorite character. Both of them are useless in GT, basically, until Vegeta at the end, right? That's basically how it goes. And then, even then, Vegeta got his big transformation off of a fucking machine. So, it didn't feel rewarding. It only felt like he had to do that so that he could help out Goku, and then they end up fusing anyways. So, it's shared in a sense, but at the same time, Goku earned his transformation. Vegeta didn't. And that just didn't feel well. It didn't sit right growing up, because it's like, not even me being a Vegeta fan, but just me being like, Vegeta's a Saiyan. Vegeta works as hard. You can argue even harder than Goku, and he has to be using a machine to get to that point. Which, by the way, is also a bunch of bullshit. How the machine even works to begin with. Oh, you can just fucking shoot a laser at me, and it like does something with your genes or some shit that
to like tweak the golden ape to come out, and
it like manifests into like your strongest form or something, because Bulma was like, you might even go Super Saiyan 5, and it's like, fuck, that line always pissed me off, because it's like, yo, I just need it, because you search it up and then you just see the guy with all white hair, Goku, all the way down to the fucking floor. It's like, yo, we need this.
It's funny you bring that up, because that's something that we talked about a while, not even just last episode, but like before that. Hey, maybe there's something with True Ultra Instinct being able to tap in to Super Saiyan 4 and then having kind of a reference to that design. Funny thing now, Sky, is I am seeing that shit everywhere, and I know we don't have the platform to where people are just everyone's seeing it and being like, oh shit,
Kizer and Sky said it first. No,
that's what But I just find it interesting that other people are seeing and validating that idea that, hey, maybe, right? Maybe that's a way to.
It's funny that you say that. I did see that yesterday as well. On
did you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I did see that.
Last things I'll say here, I just want to give GT even a few more flowers. I'll say, for Dragon Ball fans, I have this jotted down. For Dragon Ball fans, it was a chance to see our Kid Goku again, but this time with a huge difference. He's a Super Saiyan. And Super Saiyan 3 Kid Goku, of course, is iconic. Super Saiyan 4 Dragon Fist came back, and we got a Super Saiyan. We got Kamehameha times 10. Phenomenal final saga. I mentioned that already. I think we got even some cool moments within Baby with Boo and Oob. I loved that whole arc, kind of feeling like it had this, like Boo had a purpose after his saga, and he kind of came through on it. It felt very final. It felt like really special. He has that moment with Hercule. I love the way they executed that, and that's why there's a lot of pockets of moments even that we'll forget about, that GT just was able to tap into that charm. And I think a lot of it is, having it have the contexts and circumstances that we built up through Z, but also having it feel familiar in the adventures and the storytelling that we got in Dragon Ball, and of course our main character being a kid again. But special show.
I like that you mentioned the Super Saiyan 3 Goku, because bro, I remember talking about this in a couple shows ago, where like Super Saiyan 3 Goku was so dorky, and I loved it in GT. It doesn't look as dorky in Daima, but like the way it is in GT is just, and also because in GT he does have the tail, right?
Yes.
Because the difference,
it looks better with the tail.
It does way better because it's gold. So like, I just love it. That's one thing I wish Daima did. Like when Goma wished them to be kids. I think the difference in the wishes is that when Pilaf wishes it, it's put them back to when they were a kid. So when Goku was a
Yes.
kid, he had the tail, whereas as
Turn
Daima
them into kids.
turned them into kids. Yeah, not how they were as kids. So I think that was the major difference. Also, it could have just been like, we didn't actually try to change it, but we just didn't want to do the tails. You know, it could have also
Right.
just been that too. It probably is the latter, but overall, yeah, Super Saiyan 3 I thought was really, really dorky, and I loved it. I loved it.
Okay, well, here we go. We have our list, Sky. Just to read them out for myself, I have Dragon Ball Z at number 1, Dragon Ball at number 2, Dragon Ball Super at 3, GT at 4, and Daima at 5. And then from your end, you have Dragon Ball at 1, DBZ at 2, GT 3, Daima 4, and Super 5. One thing I found interesting that we got to touch on before we dip from this is you mentioned that there was a tie initially, and that even that you had a second list. I want to hear just a little bit about where your mind was after that.
Oh, so the tie was actually GT and Daima if the Super manga was included. So I would have put Daima and GT at like 4 and none at 5, if that was possible. And then have Super at 3. So it would have been Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, Super, Daima, GT together.
Okay, so that would mean that if there were ties in the way that we ran it without the manga being included, that you would have been Dragon Ball, DBZ, GT Daima tie, and then Super.
Yeah.
Okay, got you.
I just hold a lot of merit to the Moro arc. Like the TOP arc is fine. Like to me, it's fine. The Ultra Instinct is great. It's great. But the whole arc is fine. It's just fine. There's nothing too crazy about the arc. Same thing with the Goku Black arc. There's cool moments, but it's fine. And we don't need to talk about the other arcs, because the other arcs are absolutely pointless to talk about. Okay? The only arc that was actually kind of fun that nobody ever talks about is after the Goku Black arc, when Zeno comes down. I guess the only good part about the ending, I'm not even going to give this a good part, by the way, because this could have happened in some sort of other way, where Zeno's like, okay, we'll do Tournament of Power, blah, 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 we can do the Tournament of Power. And then we get foreshadowed that we're going to do the Tournament of Power, and then anyways, Goku, Gohan, Majin Buu, and Mr. Satan ended up going to this little underground tournament with the universes, and we do like a 3-on-3, which is cool. That was actually really good. I just wish it was better animated because the animation was horrible, but that was a cool little arc. It wasn't really an arc.
I forgot about that.
But that was a really cool part where, because you got to actually see Majin Buu fight, even though he didn't fight in the Tournament of Power. But that's not here or there. Next time, pass the test, Majin Buu. Don't sleep. Pass the test.
I mean, what I'll say there as well is, for me, I say Tournament of Power, and not that it helps my point based on what you're saying, but for me, it's really like the tournaments saga that I loved. I mean, you get the introduction of Hit, and you have that battle. You get Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken, which was crazy, mind-blowing moment.
Yeah.
Hit himself is an interesting character. You're teasing kind of what's out there. That was a lot of fun. But what was I also gonna say there? Yeah, I mean, I thought it was a lot of fun. I mean, everything has its drops and fallbacks. I think every show here, I think sometimes we talk about some of the lowbrow humor.
Yeah.
How they maybe went too far in Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z. There's things that you can touch on all up and down this board. I think ultimately, if you're someone who's getting into Dragon Ball today, and you're just like, you really want to start a Daima because it's in English and it's well animated and whatever.
Yeah.
You probably could, because they give a lot of context in the beginning.
They do.
And I think you could easily roll in from that. Not really seamlessly into Super, actually. You can't really go into Super. Right? I mean, you can, but just know that none of the
Wait,
forms or the
wait.
experience.
So you mean just Dragon Ball into Super, or just mean just go straight into Super?
Because I'm thinking, right, Sky? Because it's almost like everything that you saw in Daima doesn't really make sense.
The best thing to do, if you don't want to watch, is like, unfortunately, Dragon Ball's on the top of my list, right? It's on the top. But if I had to pick something that you could completely skip, I'm not saying to skip. I'm saying if there's gun to my head, you have to skip one series in Dragon Ball. I'm gonna say Dragon Ball, original Dragon Ball. Start off with Z. But what I will say is go on YouTube and watch like highlights or like arc, like what do you call those, like arc reviews
Recaps
or
and
recaps
stuff.
and
Yeah.
stuff like that. Do one of those things, because there are some arcs you do not want to miss. There's some fights you do not want to miss for its time. Again, don't look at it and be like, oh my gosh, Jujutsu Kaisen's animation's way better. It's like, okay, guys, this came out in the fucking 80s. Let's relax. All right, these are really good fights for the 80s. So yeah. Other than that, though, I think you shouldn't skip any. To be honest,
Yeah.
it's more rewarding. It's more satisfying that way.
I'd say if you watch Daima, if Daima is your entry point, and you enjoyed the adventure element of it, you enjoyed sort of more of the childish ignorance to some of it, and kind of like that kind of, yeah, I'd say you could probably do Dragon Ball. I think you'd probably enjoy Dragon Ball. I think if you watch Dragon Ball Z and you appreciate the quirkiness of it, you can watch Dragon Ball.
Dragon Ball needs to be remastered. It needs to be reanimated. Fuck remastered. It needs to be reanimated. If it gets reanimated, right? Maybe polish up a few things, and if you're trying to give it to like, if you're trying to broaden it to like on Netflix and put it out in certain ways, yeah, maybe take out a few scenes, right?
Take out a few scenes. We
know what we're talking about, and it's mostly just in the beginning, anyway.
Yeah. These scenes don't make the show special anyways.
Yeah. So you could remove some of that shit, and then you have yourselves one of the best animes ever. So
100%. And that's what we were here today breaking down for you fine people. Let us know down in the comments below, how would you rank Dragon Ball the series?
Yeah.
Of course, we just gave you ours. We're curious to see yours. If you are going to go ahead and engage, don't forget to also hit the like button. And if you want to join a community bustling with flavor, I don't know why I went flavor, but it just sounded like the right word. I needed to say it. Bustling with Dragon Ball fans that are talking about every aspect of Dragon Ball. The card games, the virtual games, the show, the manga, the everything, the fan theories, all that. Join our Discord. You'll find that in the description. Definitely go track that down. You'll find Kizer and myself over there hounding down Noun for having terrible takes. But you could witness it yourself. Join. We will be back next week with another episode. We will have to figure out what that topic is. But it's fun doing these topical ones again. It feels like
we need to...
Yeah.
We need to finally go and watch all of Dragon Ball movies. And we gotta rank them, and we gotta make it a big thing, because like that is a big episode, because there's a lot of movies. There's a lot to talk about. So like we gotta dedicate possibly we gotta like do a pre-record on that, and maybe do it'd have to be at least 2 hours, because we need to talk about every movie at least a little bit. Like we have to. There's some movies I want to talk more than others, sure, but like that's something that we have to actually have to sit down and really put in there. That will take quite a while though, because there's a lot of movies. But I mean,
I think I have an approach for us. But we'll talk about that after the show.
Sounds good.
Of course, like I said, don't forget to do all the things and show us that love. We will catch you next week with Just Saying. Thank you so much, Sky. Kizer, out.
Cheetah the goat.
Gifted speaker.
Actually, one more comes to mind.
I'm on top and you down below. The deep freeze freeze got me out and cold. I keep breathing, here for good like superheroes, but I still fall victim to all of these demons. Let me see your ass 1-2 step, talking all that shit, but you ain't come through yet.
Let me see your ass 1-2 step, 1-2 step, 1-2 step.
All my life I wanna date a baddie, call her Bronny James, she wanna play with daddy. Hold up, pause. Cause the day I give a fuck's the day M has withdrawals. Relapse, give me that, you can't have it all. Guilty conscience trying to get that absolved. Got no